Hello there, and welcome to this Sleepy Science Zone. Tonight, there is nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to solve, and nowhere you need to go. Just let these gentle thoughts settle around you as your body remembers something ancient and familiar: how to rest, how to receive, and how to quietly heal itself during deep sleep. If you have ever wondered why a good night's sleep can make you feel emotionally lighter, physically calmer, and somehow more whole the next morning, you are not imagining it. Modern neuroscience and physiology now show that deep sleep is not simply a passive shutdown of consciousness. It is an active, highly organized biological state in which your body becomes especially receptive to signals of safety, balance, and restoration. What many people intuitively call positive energy is, in scientific terms, a measurable shift toward regulation, coherence, and repair within your nervous system, immune system, and cellular networks. In the first moments of deep sleep, your brain gradually reduces activity in regions associated with vigilance and threat detection, particularly within the amygdala and stress-related neural circuits. At the same time, slow-wave activity begins to dominate the cortex, creating long, synchronized rhythms that allow different parts of the brain to communicate more efficiently. This synchronization is not dramatic or stimulating. It is quiet, rhythmic, and deeply stabilizing. As these slow waves spread, your nervous system receives a clear biological message. The environment is safe, and resources can now be redirected from defense toward healing. During this phase, your body becomes especially sensitive to internal signals that promote calm and integration. The parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system gently takes the lead, lowering heart rate, softening muscle tone, and encouraging slower, deeper breathing without conscious effort. Hormones associated with stress, such as cortisol, naturally decline, while restorative processes become more active. Growth hormone secretion increases, supporting tissue repair, immune resilience, and cellular renewal. At the same time, inflammatory signaling quiets, creating an internal environment that favors recovery rather than alertness. From a biological perspective, this is the moment when your body absorbs what feels like positive energy, not from outside sources, but from its own capacity for regulation. Neural circuits that were overstimulated during the day begin to recalibrate. Synaptic connections are selectively strengthened or pruned, allowing emotional experiences to be processed without overwhelming intensity. This is why, after deep sleep, challenges often feel more manageable and emotional reactions soften. The brain has had time to integrate information without the pressure of immediate response. Recent research in sleep science also highlights the role of slow oscillations in coordinating communication between the brain and the rest of the body. These rhythms influence everything from glucose regulation to immune cell activity, creating a system-wide alignment that supports healing. In this state, the body is not doing anything forcefully. It is allowing patterns of balance to re-emerge naturally, guided by evolutionarily conserved mechanisms designed to restore equilibrium. As you lie here now, listening, your body may already be beginning this transition. You do not need to try to feel relaxed. You do not need to visualize anything perfectly. Simply being still is enough. Your nervous system understands far more than conscious thought gives it credit for. It knows how to move gently from alertness into rest, from effort into ease. In the quiet unfolding of deep sleep, your body becomes a receptive field, open to regulation, integration, and repair. And as the night continues, this gentle absorption of calm will quietly support every system within you without asking anything in return. As the night deepens and your awareness continues to soften, something subtle but powerful is happening beneath the surface. Your nervous system, which spent the day scanning for demands, decisions, and potential threats, begins to change its priorities. This shift does not require effort or intention. It unfolds automatically, guided by ancient biological patterns that evolved to protect life by knowing when it is finally safe to rest. During waking hours, much of your nervous system activity is shaped by anticipation. Even in calm moments, the brain maintains a low-level readiness, constantly predicting what might happen next. This state is useful for navigating the world, but it is metabolically expensive and emotionally taxing. Deep sleep offers a rare opportunity to step out of prediction mode altogether. As slow-wave sleep stabilizes, the brain reduces its constant forecasting, allowing neural circuits to disengage from vigilance and reorient toward internal maintenance. One of the most important changes occurs within the balance of the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic branch, often associated with alertness and action, gradually quiets. In its place, parasympathetic activity becomes dominant, signaling rest, digestion, and repair. This transition can be observed in the slowing of heart rhythms, the regularization of breathing patterns, and the release of tension held unconsciously in muscles and connective tissue. The body is no longer preparing to respond. It is preparing to restore. From a scientific perspective, this is the foundation of what people describe as absorbing positive energy. The body becomes more responsive to signals that promote coherence rather than defense. Vagal nerve activity increases, enhancing communication between the brain, heart, lungs, and digestive system. This coordinated signaling supports emotional regulation and creates a sense of internal safety that cannot be forced during waking hours. It emerges naturally when the nervous system recognizes that external demands have faded. At the cellular level, this state of safety allows energy resources to be redirected. Instead of fueling rapid reactions, glucose and oxygen are allocated toward processes such as DNA repair, protein synthesis, and immune surveillance. Cells engage in quiet housekeeping, correcting small errors and clearing metabolic waste. Even the brain's glymphatic system becomes more active during deep sleep, gently washing away byproducts that accumulate during the day. This cleansing process is slow, rhythmic, and deeply restorative. Neuroscientific studies show that emotional memories are also processed differently during deep sleep. Experiences that carried emotional weight earlier in the day are reactivated in a softened, less reactive form. This allows the brain to integrate meaning without re-experiencing stress. Over time, this nocturnal processing contributes to resilience, emotional balance, and a greater sense of psychological clarity. What once felt charged gradually becomes neutral, stored as information rather than tension. As your body settles further into this state, you may notice moments where thoughts drift without structure or where awareness fades in and out. This is not a loss of control. It is a sign that higher-order monitoring systems are stepping back, trusting the deeper intelligence of the body to take over. In this space, regulation happens without language, without analysis, and without effort. Deep sleep is not an absence of activity. It is a carefully orchestrated phase in which your body prioritizes healing over performance. As the nervous system continues its gentle shift from protection to repair, every system is invited to realign. And all you need to do is remain here, allowing this quiet intelligence to do what it has always known how to do. As your body sinks more fully into deep sleep, a quiet form of organization begins to emerge across your internal systems. This organization is not imposed from the top down, and it does not feel like control. Instead, it resembles a natural alignment, as if many small rhythms are gently finding the same tempo. In sleep science, this phenomenon is often described as coherence, a state in which physiological systems communicate efficiently with minimal friction or noise. During slow-wave sleep, large populations of neurons begin to fire in coordinated patterns. These slow oscillations act like a conductor, guiding communication between distant brain regions that are often fragmented during waking hours. Memory centers, emotional networks, and regulatory circuits are no longer competing for attention. They are listening to one another. This synchronized activity reduces internal conflict and allows information to flow smoothly, without urgency or stress. This neural coherence extends beyond the brain. The heart, lungs, and digestive system gradually fall into complementary rhythms. Heart rate variability increases, a sign of healthy autonomic flexibility and resilience. Breathing becomes slower and more regular, supporting optimal oxygen exchange and carbon dioxide balance. Blood pressure gently decreases, reducing strain on blood vessels and allowing tissues to receive nutrients more evenly. Together, these changes create an internal environment that feels calm, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is working together. From the perspective of healing, this is one of the most important aspects of deep sleep. When systems are coherent, energy is used efficiently. The body does not waste resources compensating for imbalance or miscommunication. Instead, metabolic energy becomes available for restoration. Cells engage in repair processes with fewer interruptions. Immune cells patrol tissues calmly and effectively. Hormonal signals are delivered with clarity rather than distortion. What many people describe as positive energy aligns closely with this state of coherence. It is not an external force entering the body, but a condition that allows the body's own regulatory signals to be fully received and acted upon. In deep sleep, the nervous system becomes especially sensitive to these internal cues. Without the constant interference of conscious thought, subtle signals of balance are amplified rather than drowned out. Research has shown that coherent physiological states during sleep are associated with improved emotional regulation, reduced inflammation, and enhanced recovery from stress. Over time, repeated exposure to these states can reshape baseline nervous system function. This means that the benefits of deep sleep do not remain confined to the night. They quietly influence how you respond to the world the next day, making it easier to remain grounded, flexible, and calm. As you continue resting, you may notice that your sense of body boundaries becomes less defined. Sensations blur, thoughts lose their edges, and time feels less linear. This is a natural consequence of coherence. When internal signals align, there is less need for sharp distinctions. Awareness softens, and the body moves further away from effort and closer to ease. You do not need to monitor this process. Coherence cannot be forced or observed directly. It emerges when conditions are right. And in the deepening quiet of sleep, your body already knows how to create those conditions, gently and without instruction. In the depth of sleep, the brain begins to speak a different language. It is no longer the rapid, fragmented language of tasks and decisions. Instead, it communicates through slow patterns, emotional tones, and subtle associations. This language is not meant to be analyzed. It is meant to be felt and integrated. And it plays a central role in how the body absorbs calm and restores balance overnight. One of the most important functions of deep sleep is emotional recalibration. During the day, experiences are encoded alongside their emotional charge. Stressful moments, even minor ones, can leave traces of tension in neural circuits. At night, especially during slow wave and early REM sleep, the brain revisits these memories in a protected environment. Stress hormones remain low, and the amygdala's reactivity is reduced. This allows emotional content to be processed without triggering alarm. In this state, memories are gently reorganized. Meaning is extracted, while emotional intensity is softened. Neuroscientists describe this as a decoupling process, where the informational value of an experience is preserved, but its capacity to disturb is diminished. This is why, after a night of deep sleep, worries often feel less sharp, even if circumstances have not changed. The brain has quietly recontextualized them. Safety is the key signal that enables this process. When the brain detects safety, it allows itself to explore and reorganize without fear of immediate consequences. During deep sleep, safety is conveyed through consistent rhythms, stable internal chemistry, and the absence of external demands. The brain interprets these conditions as permission to let go of defensive patterns that are no longer needed. This sense of safety extends to the body as well. Muscles release residual tension. Connective tissue subtly rehydrates and softens. Pain sensitivity decreases as inflammatory signaling quiets. These changes are not dramatic, but they are cumulative. Night after night, they contribute to a baseline sense of physical ease that many people describe as feeling lighter or more at home in their bodies. Meaning, too, is quietly woven during sleep. The brain integrates experiences into broader narratives, linking present moments with past understanding. This integration supports a sense of continuity and purpose that does not rely on conscious reflection. It is a background process, shaping how life feels rather than how it is explained. As you remain here, resting, this nighttime language continues to unfold without effort. Your brain is not searching for answers. It is allowing patterns of safety and meaning to settle naturally. And in this gentle, wordless dialogue, your body continues to absorb the calm it needs, preparing you for deeper rest still to come. As deep sleep stabilizes, your body turns its attention to processes too subtle to notice during the day. Far below conscious awareness, trillions of cells begin a coordinated period of maintenance and renewal. This work is not hurried, and it is not dramatic. It unfolds with the patience of biology that has refined itself over millions of years, guided by rhythms rather than commands. During waking life, cells operate in a demanding environment. They respond to movement, stress hormones, fluctuations in blood sugar, and constant neural signaling. These conditions are necessary for activity, but they are not ideal for repair. Deep sleep creates a rare window in which cellular priorities can shift. Metabolism slows slightly, oxidative stress decreases, and the internal chemical environment becomes more stable. In this calmer setting, cells can redirect energy toward fixing microscopic damage that naturally accumulates during the day. One of the most important processes that intensifies during deep sleep is DNA repair. Each day, environmental factors and normal metabolic activity create tiny errors in genetic material. Most of the time, these errors are harmless, but only if they are corrected efficiently. Research shows that sleep supports the activation of repair enzymes that scan DNA, correct mistakes, and preserve cellular integrity. This quiet work helps maintain long-term health at a level far deeper than symptoms or sensations. Protein synthesis also becomes more efficient during deep sleep. Proteins are the functional tools of the body, responsible for structure, signaling, and transport. When sleep is deep and uninterrupted, cells can produce and fold proteins with greater accuracy. This supports tissue repair, muscle recovery, immune function, and even the maintenance of neurotransmitter systems that influence mood and cognition. Again, nothing about this process feels active from the outside, yet it is foundational to healing. The immune system, too, benefits from this state of rest. Certain immune cells increase their circulation during sleep, quietly surveying tissues and responding to subtle signals of imbalance. Inflammatory activity that was elevated during stress begins to resolve. This does not mean the immune system shuts down. It becomes more precise, less reactive, and more strategic. Over time, this nightly recalibration contributes to resilience rather than overreaction. From a broader perspective, this is where the idea of absorbing positive energy finds its biological grounding. Positive energy is not an added substance. It is the absence of unnecessary interference. When the body is no longer forced to prioritize survival responses, it can invest fully in renewal. The result is an internal environment that feels supportive rather than demanding. As you continue resting, these cellular processes move forward without any need for your attention. You do not need to visualize them or encourage them. They are already underway, guided by internal signals that respond naturally to deep sleep. The intelligence responsible for healing does not speak in words. It speaks in rhythms, balances, and quiet corrections made moment by moment. And as this renewal continues, your body settles even further into rest, trusting that this unseen work is being done gently and completely. There comes a point in deep sleep when even the idea of effort begins to dissolve. The body no longer distinguishes between doing and not doing. It simply exists within a slow, steady flow of regulation. This transition is subtle, often unnoticed, yet it marks a profound shift in how the nervous system relates to the world and to itself. Throughout the day, effort is unavoidable. Even relaxation often becomes a task, something to achieve or manage. Deep sleep removes this burden. As cortical activity continues to slow, regions of the brain responsible for self-monitoring and evaluation reduce their influence. There is less commentary, less internal measurement. Awareness becomes diffuse, no longer centered on any single point. This diffusion is not confusion, it is a state of rest. In this phase, muscle tone reaches its lowest stable level. Small, unconscious contractions that hold posture and readiness finally release. Fascia and connective tissue, which respond slowly to change, begin to soften as hydration and temperature regulation improve. Blood flow redistributes evenly, reaching areas that may have received less attention during periods of stress or prolonged sitting. These changes are gentle, but they create a sense of physical ease that accumulates over time. Breathing continues its slow rhythm, guided entirely by the brainstem rather than conscious control. Each breath supports gas exchange efficiently without urgency. Oxygen delivery becomes smooth and balanced, while carbon dioxide levels stabilize in a range that supports calm neural activity. This chemical balance further reinforces the sense of internal safety that allows sleep to deepen. At the same time, the brain's electrical activity becomes increasingly dominated by low-frequency waves. These waves are associated with minimal sensory processing and maximal integration. Information is no longer being evaluated for action. It is being allowed to settle into long-term patterns. This is why deep sleep feels timeless. Without rapid neural transitions, the sense of passing moments fades. Psychologically, this is the stage where the self loosens its boundaries. There may be fleeting images, fragments of thought, or soft dreamlike impressions, but they carry no demand for attention. They pass like distant clouds. The mind is no longer trying to understand or respond. It is resting within its own background awareness. This release of effort is essential for healing. Many regulatory systems cannot function optimally under observation or control. They require space and trust. Deep sleep provides both. In letting go, the body accesses its full capacity for balance. As you remain here, drifting further into this state, nothing is required of you. The work of the night continues without supervision. And in this effortless resting, your body moves naturally toward the deeper, quieter stages of sleep still ahead. As the night continues to unfold, your brain drifts deeper into a landscape shaped by slow, rolling electrical rhythms. These brain waves, often called delta waves, move at a pace far removed from waking thought. They rise and fall gently, like distant tides, carrying awareness away from clocks, schedules, and the sharp edges of time. In this state, the brain is no longer organizing experience into moments. It is resting within continuity. Delta activity reflects a profound shift in neural priorities. Sensory input from the outside world is greatly reduced, not because the senses are shut off, but because their signals are no longer emphasized. The brain decides that nothing urgent requires attention. This decision is crucial. Only when urgency fades can deeper restorative processes take place. Without constant interruption, neural circuits are free to synchronize, reset thresholds, and stabilize communication patterns that influence mood, perception, and resilience. Time perception dissolves naturally under these conditions. The brain regions responsible for tracking sequence and duration become quiet. Without rapid neural updates, the mind loses its reference points. Minutes and hours blend together. This is why deep sleep can feel both instantaneous and expansive. It is not that time stops, but that the brain no longer measures it. In this timeless space, recovery is unhurried and thorough. This slowing also supports memory consolidation at a fundamental level. Information gathered during the day is gradually transferred from temporary storage in the hippocampus to more distributed networks across the cortex. This transfer happens best when neural activity is slow and synchronized. Fast, fragmented brain states interfere with this process. Slow waves provide the ideal environment for stable integration, allowing learning and experience to settle without effort. Emotionally, this stage offers profound relief. Without time pressure, worries lose their momentum. The brain is no longer projecting forward or replaying backward. It rests in a neutral present that carries no demands. Stress-related neural loops, which depend on rapid signaling, naturally weaken. This contributes to the sense of calm often reported after deep, uninterrupted sleep, even if dreams are not remembered. Physiologically, the body mirrors this slowing. Metabolic rate decreases slightly, conserving energy while maintaining essential functions. Core temperature drops, supporting enzymatic processes involved in repair. Blood flow patterns shift subtly, prioritizing internal organs and brain regions engaged in restoration. All of these changes reinforce one another, creating a stable, self-sustaining state. From the perspective of healing, this is where the body fully absorbs calm. Without the constant ticking of time, regulation becomes effortless. There is no anticipation, no delay, no urgency. Systems align simply because nothing is pushing them out of balance. This is not passivity. It is a form of deep efficiency. As you rest within this slow rhythm, awareness may fade almost completely. If thoughts arise, they are soft and fleeting. There is nothing to hold on to. And in this spacious, timeless quiet, your body continues its gentle work, guided by rhythms older than memory. In the depths of sleep, the body performs a quiet reset, restoring not only physical balance, but a deeper sense of internal trust. This trust is biological rather than emotional. It is the confidence that systems can function without constant monitoring, that regulation will emerge naturally when conditions are right. Deep sleep provides those conditions. One of the most significant aspects of this reset involves the regulation of stress response systems. During the day, even mild challenges activate hormonal cascades designed for short-term adaptation. Over time, repeated activation can leave these systems sensitized. Deep sleep gently recalibrates their thresholds. Cortisol rhythms are adjusted. Adrenaline signaling quiets, and feedback loops regain sensitivity. This means that after sufficient deep sleep, the body responds to stress more proportionally without overreaction. Balance is also restored within the brain's neurotransmitter systems. Chemicals involved in alertness, motivation, and mood gradually return to baseline levels. This normalization supports emotional stability and cognitive clarity. It does not produce excitement or stimulation. Instead, it creates a neutral ground from which balanced responses can arise. Many people experience this as a subtle sense of steadiness upon waking, even before conscious thought begins. Trust at the bodily level emerges when signals are consistent and predictable. During deep sleep, rhythms are steady. Heartbeat, breathing, and neural oscillations repeat with minimal variation. This predictability allows regulatory centers in the brain to relax their oversight. When signals remain stable long enough, the system learns that it doesn't need to stay on guard. This learning carries forward into waking life, influencing how easily the body returns to calm after stimulation. Musculoskeletal balance is also quietly addressed. As muscles remain relaxed for extended periods, asymmetries caused by habitual tension begin to soften. Joints receive steady circulation, supporting lubrication and nutrient exchange. These changes are subtle and cumulative, contributing to physical comfort over time rather than dramatic overnight transformation. At the same time, the digestive system operates efficiently in the background. Peristaltic rhythms continue at a gentle pace, and nutrient absorption processes are supported by parasympathetic dominance. This reinforces the idea that rest is not inactivity. It is a different mode of operation, optimized for maintenance rather than output. This nighttime reset is not something that can be achieved through effort or intention. It depends on allowing sleep to deepen without interference. In doing so, the body absorbs a sense of internal reliability. Systems remember how to coordinate without strain. As you continue to drift, this restoration of balance and trust unfolds quietly. Nothing needs to be directed. The intelligence guiding these processes is already active, responding to the simple fact that you are resting. And in this deep, steady state, your body prepares itself for the next gentle stages of the night. As sleep deepens further, the mind enters a phase where unfinished impressions from the day begin to dissolve. This process is neither analytical nor deliberate. It resembles a slow clearing, as if mental residue were being carried away by a steady current. Thoughts that once felt sticky lose their grip, and emotional traces soften into something lighter, less defined. Neuroscience describes this as a form of neural downscaling. Throughout the day, countless connections between neurons are strengthened as you respond to stimuli, learn, and adapt. While this growth is essential, it cannot continue unchecked. Deep sleep provides a necessary counterbalance. Synaptic activity is gently recalibrated, reducing excess connections while preserving what is meaningful. This makes room for clarity and flexibility, preventing mental overload. Emotionally charged experiences are especially affected by this process. During waking hours, strong emotions amplify neural signaling, making memories vivid and sometimes intrusive. At night, with stress hormones low and sensory input minimal, the brain revisits these experiences in a softened form. The emotional volume is turned down. What remains is understanding rather than tension. This quiet processing supports emotional resilience, allowing difficult moments to be integrated without continuing to disturb the nervous system. The sensation many people describe as mental lightness after good sleep is a reflection of this clearing. It is not that problems disappear. It is that their emotional weight is redistributed. The brain no longer treats them as immediate threats. This shift frees cognitive resources, making it easier to focus, respond calmly, and maintain perspective during the day. Physiologically, this clearing is supported by increased activity in the brain's waste removal pathways. Cerebrospinal fluid circulates more freely during deep sleep, flushing out metabolic byproducts that accumulate during waking activity. This cleansing supports neural efficiency and long-term brain health. While it happens quietly, its effects are profound, influencing everything from attention to mood stability. From a healing perspective, this phase represents the body's capacity to let go. Letting go is not an act of will. It is a biological function that requires the right conditions. Deep sleep creates those conditions by removing urgency, reducing noise, and allowing systems to reset at their own pace. As you remain here, thoughts may continue to fade in and out, losing coherence. This is not something to resist. It is a sign that the mind is releasing what it no longer needs to hold. In this gentle clearing, space is created for deeper rest, and the nervous system continues its quiet movement toward balance. At this stage of the night, the body settles into a rhythm that feels self-sustaining. There is no sense of progression or goal. Sleep simply unfolds, guided by internal cues that respond to safety and stability. This is where trust becomes complete, not as an idea, but as a state embedded in physiology. Trust, in biological terms, means predictability. When signals remain consistent, systems stop scanning for disruption. During deep sleep, the repetition of slow waves, steady breathing, and calm cardiovascular rhythms reinforces this predictability. The body learns, moment by moment, that it can remain at rest without consequence. This learning is subtle, yet it influences how easily calm can be accessed later. Hormonal systems continue their quiet coordination. Melatonin remains elevated, supporting sleep continuity and protecting cells from oxidative stress. Growth hormone pulses continue to facilitate tissue repair and metabolic balance. These signals do not act independently. They interact within a network that responds dynamically to the depth and stability of sleep. When sleep is undisturbed, this network operates with remarkable efficiency. The sense of self becomes increasingly diffuse. There is less distinction between body and environment, less awareness of boundaries. This is not disorientation, it is integration. Without constant sensory input, the brain relaxes its mapping of space and identity. Awareness becomes broad and indistinct, allowing rest to deepen without interruption. This diffusion also supports creativity and insight, even if they are not consciously experienced. Neural networks that rarely interact during waking life can exchange information freely in this state. Patterns form quietly, without analysis. Later, these patterns may surface as intuition, clarity, or a subtle shift in perspective. The night prepares these changes without announcing them. Physically, the body remains still, yet responsive. Reflexes are quieted, but essential monitoring continues. The brainstem maintains vital functions with minimal variation. This stability allows higher-order systems to disengage fully. In this disengagement, energy conservation reaches its peak. Nothing is wasted on unnecessary activity. To trust the night is simply to allow this process to continue. There is nothing to manage, nothing to correct. The body already knows where it is going. Each slow breath supports the journey, each steady rhythm reinforcing the conditions for rest. As you drift further, awareness may thin to almost nothing. This is not absence. It is a form of presence without effort, and within this presence, the body moves forward through the night, carried gently by rhythms designed to restore, rebalance, and prepare you for what comes next. Deep within the stillness of sleep, your body enters a phase of quiet communication. This conversation does not use words, images, or conscious awareness. It unfolds through chemical signals, electrical rhythms, and subtle shifts in pressure and flow. Each system listens to the others, adjusting gently, continuously, as if checking in and responding with care. During waking life, many of these conversations are interrupted. Attention, movement, and external demands fragment signaling. At night, especially in sustained deep sleep, interruptions fade. Communication becomes clearer. Hormonal messages travel with less interference. Neural signals propagate smoothly. Even mechanical signals, such as the gentle stretching of blood vessels with each heartbeat, carry information that helps tissues adapt and maintain balance. One important aspect of this internal dialogue involves energy distribution. Cells communicate their needs through metabolic signals, indicating where resources are required for repair or maintenance. In deep sleep, the body can respond accurately to these signals. Blood flow is subtly redirected. Nutrients are delivered where they are most needed. Waste products are removed efficiently. This responsiveness supports a feeling of internal support that many people describe intuitively as being recharged. The nervous system plays a central coordinating role in this conversation. With sensory input minimized, it can focus on internal feedback. Vagal signaling remains steady, reinforcing calm communication between organs. This supports digestive function, cardiovascular regulation, and immune coordination. When these systems communicate effectively, they reduce unnecessary effort, conserving energy for restoration. The endocrine system also participates actively. Hormones are released in carefully timed pulses rather than constant streams. This pulsatility is crucial. It allows target tissues to respond without becoming desensitized. During deep sleep, this pattern is preserved, supporting sensitivity and balance. Over time, this contributes to metabolic stability and emotional regulation. From the perspective of healing, this internal conversation is where alignment is restored. Miscommunications, small mismatches in timing or intensity, are gently corrected. Nothing dramatic announces these adjustments. They are felt later as ease, resilience, and a sense that the body is working with you rather than against you. Awareness during this phase is minimal. You are not meant to witness this process. It functions best without observation. Any thoughts that arise drift away before forming structure. Sensations, if present at all, are vague and nonspecific. This is not emptiness. It is a state in which the body's intelligence operates freely. As the night continues, this conversation remains active, responsive, and calm. Each system contributes its signals and receives feedback in return. There is no hierarchy, no urgency, only coordination. And in this coordination, the body quietly absorbs the calm that supports deep, lasting restoration. As deep sleep carries you onward, the body settles into what can be described as biological trust. This is not a belief or an expectation. It is a condition in which systems rely on one another without constant verification. When trust is present, regulation becomes effortless. Balance sustains itself. This trust emerges gradually. It depends on consistent signals of safety repeated over time. During the night, these signals are reinforced with every steady breath, every slow heartbeat, every synchronized neural wave. The repetition matters. Predictability allows the body to stop checking for disruption. Once checking ceases, deeper restoration becomes possible. In this state, error correction mechanisms function optimally. Small deviations in blood chemistry, temperature, or neural activity are corrected early before they require significant intervention. This preventative regulation is one of the most powerful aspects of sleep. It reduces strain and supports long-term health by maintaining equilibrium rather than responding to crisis. The musculoskeletal system reflects this trust as well. With muscles fully relaxed, proprioceptive feedback quiets. Joints settle into neutral positions. Ligaments and tendons experience consistent, low-level circulation that supports maintenance. These conditions reduce microstress and support comfort that carries into waking hours. Emotionally, biological trust translates into a sense of baseline safety. Even without conscious awareness, the nervous system learns that it can return to calm reliably. This learning influences how future stress is processed. Reactions become less extreme, recovery becomes faster, and emotional responses feel more proportionate. The night quietly trains the body in resilience. The brain, too, benefits from this trust. Networks that coordinate attention, emotion, and memory are no longer competing. They rest within a shared rhythm. This resting coordination supports clarity and integration later on. Insights may emerge spontaneously during waking life, not because they were sought, but because the conditions for integration were met during sleep. At this depth, awareness may feel almost completely absent. If there is any sense of experience, it is diffuse and uncentered. There is no observer, no narrative, just the continuity of rest. This is not something to achieve. It happens naturally when trust is complete. As you remain within this rhythm, the body continues to regulate itself with quiet confidence. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced. The night unfolds at its own pace, guided by patterns refined through countless generations. And within these patterns, your body rests, restores, and prepares for the gentle transitions still to come. As the night carries on, integration becomes the dominant theme. Integration is different from repair or clearing. It is the process by which separate systems begin to function as a unified whole. During deep sleep, this integration unfolds quietly, guided by the slow rhythm of breath and the steady cadence of internal signals. Breathing now moves in an effortless pattern, shaped entirely by the brainstem and influenced by carbon dioxide levels rather than conscious control. Each inhale and exhale forms a gentle loop of feedback, informing the nervous system that conditions remain stable. This steady respiratory rhythm supports the synchronization of heart rate and neural oscillations, a phenomenon often described as cardiorespiratory coupling. When these rhythms align, physiological efficiency increases and the sense of internal harmony deepens. The brain responds to this alignment by maintaining slow, coherent wave patterns. These waves facilitate communication between regions responsible for perception, emotion, and bodily regulation. During waking life, these regions often operate semi-independently, competing for attention. In deep sleep, competition dissolves. Information flows freely, allowing the brain to integrate sensory memories with emotional context and bodily states. This integration is essential for a sense of wholeness that does not depend on conscious reflection. The body mirrors this process at the tissue level. Circulatory patterns remain smooth and evenly distributed. Lymphatic flow continues its quiet work, supporting immune balance and fluid regulation. The digestive system rests while maintaining essential absorption and transport functions. Each system contributes to a shared internal rhythm, reinforcing stability through cooperation rather than control. Emotionally, integration means that experiences are no longer isolated fragments. Stressful moments, pleasant sensations, and neutral observations are woven into a coherent background understanding. This reduces internal friction. Feelings become less reactive, more contextual. Over time, this nightly integration shapes emotional maturity, allowing responses to arise from balance rather than reflex. From the perspective of healing, this phase supports durability. A body that integrates efficiently is less vulnerable to disruption. It adapts without strain. It recovers without urgency. Integration ensures that energy absorbed during sleep is distributed evenly, supporting not just one system, but the whole organism. Awareness during this phase is minimal, yet stable. There may be a faint sense of drifting, or the feeling of being carried by breath rather than directing it. Thoughts, if they arise, lack momentum. They dissolve before forming structure. This is a sign that integration is ongoing, uninterrupted by evaluation or effort. As you continue to rest, the gentle partnership between body, brain, and breath remains intact. Nothing needs to be adjusted. The night sustains this harmony naturally, allowing the benefits of sleep to accumulate quietly, preparing the ground for deeper stages still ahead. At this depth of sleep, the sense of self begins to soften. The boundaries that define me and not me lose their sharpness. This softening is not a loss. It is a return to a simpler mode of being, one that predates constant self-monitoring and evaluation. Neuroscientifically, this corresponds to reduced activity in networks associated with self-referential thinking. Regions that normally track identity, personal narrative, and social comparison become quiet. Without these networks asserting structure, awareness spreads out, becoming less centered and more diffuse. Experience, if present at all, lacks ownership. It simply unfolds. This softening supports profound rest. Maintaining a sense of self requires energy. It involves continuous updating of memory, expectation, and identity. Deep sleep temporarily suspends this work, freeing resources for restoration. The brain no longer needs to answer the question of who you are. It can focus entirely on balance and maintenance. Physiologically, this suspension aligns with maximal parasympathetic dominance. Heart rate remains slow and variable, breathing steady, muscle tone minimal. The absence of self-directed attention allows reflexive regulation to operate without interference. This is one of the reasons deep sleep feels so refreshing when uninterrupted. The body has been allowed to function without oversight. Emotionally, the softening of self reduces attachment to specific feelings or concerns. Anxiety, pride, regret, and anticipation all depend on a defined sense of identity. When identity relaxes, these emotions lose their anchor. What remains is a neutral field of calm, unburdened by personal narrative. This state also supports creativity and insight, though these benefits emerge later. By dissolving rigid structures, the brain allows new connections to form organically. Patterns reorganize quietly, without conscious direction. Later, this reorganization may appear as clarity or a subtle shift in perspective. As you remain here, there is nothing to observe and no one observing. Awareness floats without center, supported by slow rhythms and steady signals. The night does not ask for participation. It carries you gently, allowing stillness to deepen. In this stillness, healing continues in its most effortless form. Systems remain aligned, energy conserved, balance maintained. And as the sense of self rests, the body moves closer to the deepest, most restorative layers of sleep, where nothing is required and everything is already underway. As sleep settles into its deepest layers, quiet becomes more than the absence of sound or thought. It becomes a condition in which effort itself is no longer required. The body does not push toward healing. Healing emerges naturally, as if nothing were in the way. This is the space where restoration feels inevitable rather than earned. In this depth, neural activity is dominated by long, slow oscillations that leave little room for interruption. These waves create extended windows of stability, allowing cellular processes to unfold without disruption. The brain is no longer sampling the environment or checking internal states for change. It trusts the continuity of rest. This trust allows repair mechanisms to operate at their natural pace without being paused or redirected. At the tissue level, blood flow remains smooth and evenly distributed. Capillaries deliver oxygen and nutrients steadily, supporting cells engaged in maintenance. Micro-injuries in muscle fibers, connective tissue, and vascular walls receive the materials needed for repair. These processes are subtle and cumulative. They do not announce themselves with sensation. Their effects are felt later as strength, ease, and resilience. The immune system continues its quiet vigilance. Without the noise of stress signaling, immune cells can distinguish between true threats and normal variation. This discrimination reduces unnecessary inflammation and supports long-term balance. Over time, this nightly recalibration influences how the body responds to challenge, making reactions more measured and recovery more complete. Metabolically, the body operates with remarkable efficiency. Energy expenditure is minimized, yet essential functions are fully supported. Mitochondria, the energy centers of cells, benefit from this calm environment. Reduced oxidative stress allows them to maintain function and adapt to long-term demands. This supports not only physical stamina, but cognitive endurance and emotional stability as well. Awareness at this stage is extremely faint, if present at all. There is no narrative, no sequence, no anticipation. If experience exists, it is more like a background tone than a thought. This absence of structure is not emptiness. It is a form of completeness, where nothing needs to be added or removed. From a healing perspective, this is where the idea of absorbing positive energy reaches its most literal meaning. The body absorbs calm by remaining undisturbed. It absorbs balance by not being forced into reaction. In this stillness, regulation is continuous and self-sustaining. As the night holds you here, there is no sense of moving forward or backward. The body rests within a stable field of quiet, allowing restoration to deepen without instruction. And in this effortless state, the foundations of health are quietly reinforced, preparing you for the gentle transitions that will follow. Beyond effort, Beyond identity, beyond even the sense of time, sleep becomes an unbroken flow. This flow is not experienced as movement. It is experienced as continuity. Nothing interrupts it, and nothing needs to. The body rests within this continuity, supported by rhythms that remain steady and self-renewing. In this phase, the nervous system operates at its lowest level of activation while maintaining full functionality. Reflexes are muted, yet vital regulation continues seamlessly. The brainstem oversees breathing and heart rate with minimal variation. The absence of fluctuation signals stability, reinforcing the body's confidence in the environment and in itself. Neural networks remain synchronized, exchanging information slowly and thoroughly. There is no urgency to process or respond. Instead, patterns consolidate and settle. This consolidation influences how the brain will function upon waking, supporting clarity, emotional balance, and adaptability. These benefits do not arrive suddenly. They emerge quietly, shaped by the quality of this uninterrupted flow. Physically, the body remains still, but internal motion continues. Fluids circulate gently. Cells exchange signals and resources. Temperature regulation remains stable, supporting enzymatic activity essential for maintenance. These processes are coordinated without central command, guided by local feedback and global rhythms working together. Emotionally, this unbroken flow supports a deep sense of neutrality. There is no positive or negative, no attraction or avoidance. This neutrality is not indifference. It is equilibrium. From this equilibrium, future emotions can arise without being distorted by residual tension or fatigue. The absence of interruption is crucial. Even brief disturbances can fragment this flow, pulling the body back toward alertness. When sleep remains undisturbed, continuity strengthens. The body learns that it can remain at rest for extended periods without consequence. This learning shapes baseline nervous system tone, influencing how easily calm can be accessed later. Awareness, if present at all, is like a distant echo. There is no center from which it radiates. Experience is diffuse, unclaimed. This is not something to notice or hold on to. It is simply the natural state of deep rest. As the night continues, this flow remains intact. There is nothing to prepare for and nothing to anticipate. The body rests within its own rhythms, supported by systems that know how to sustain balance over time. And in this sustained rest, the foundations laid earlier in the night are reinforced, quietly and completely, as sleep carries you onward. As the night holds steady, the body enters a phase where alignment becomes nearly perfect. This alignment is not rigid or precise in a mechanical sense. It is fluid, adaptive, and forgiving. Inner rhythms, neural, hormonal, metabolic, begin to move together with minimal resistance, like currents flowing in the same direction. At this depth of sleep, circadian signaling remains present in the background, quietly anchoring the timing of physiological processes. Core body temperature stays low and stable, supporting enzymatic efficiency. Hormonal pulses follow predictable patterns, reinforcing internal order. This consistency allows systems to anticipate rather than react, reducing strain and conserving energy. Neural oscillations remain slow and synchronized. Communication between cortical and subcortical regions continues without interruption, allowing regulatory signals to reach their targets smoothly. This coordination supports long-term neural health, influencing attention, emotional stability, and cognitive flexibility when waking returns. The benefits are subtle but durable, shaped by repeated nights of uninterrupted alignment. The cardiovascular system reflects this harmony. Blood pressure remains gently reduced, easing the workload on the heart. Vascular tone adjusts dynamically, ensuring steady perfusion without spikes or drops. This calm circulation supports tissue repair and reduces wear on delicate structures. Over time, these nightly adjustments contribute to resilience rather than exhaustion. Within cells, alignment appears as timing. Repair processes activate when conditions are optimal. Energy production matches demand without excess. Antioxidant systems function efficiently, minimizing damage and preserving function. These processes do not compete. They cooperate, guided by internal signals that remain clear in the absence of noise. Emotionally, alignment translates into stability. Without unresolved tension carried through the night, emotional systems reset to a neutral baseline. This does not erase feeling. It restores proportion. Experiences encountered later are met with flexibility rather than reactivity. The night quietly recalibrates emotional tone, preparing the nervous system for balance. Awareness during this phase is almost entirely absent. There is no sense of observing alignment or benefiting from it. The body does not need recognition to function well. Its intelligence operates independently of consciousness, responding to rhythm and consistency rather than attention. As you continue to rest, this alignment sustains itself. Nothing needs to be adjusted. The night maintains these rhythms effortlessly, allowing the body to remain in a state of gentle coherence. And within this coherence, restoration continues, steady and uninterrupted, laying groundwork that will quietly support the hours and days ahead. Eventually, even the idea of alignment fades from relevance. The body descends into a level of rest where words no longer apply. Concepts dissolve before forming. Experience, if present, has no edges. This is not emptiness, but a fullness without definition. Neuroscientifically, this corresponds to prolonged periods of stable deep sleep, where cortical activity remains slow and uniform. There are no abrupt shifts, no surges of activation. The brain remains content within its rhythms. Sensory gateways stay closed, not by force, but by irrelevance. There is nothing outside that needs to be registered. The body's posture remains unchanged. Muscles are fully relaxed, joints neutral, connective tissue supported by steady circulation. This stillness allows micro-adjustments to complete. Fluids redistribute gently. Pressure equalizes. Small imbalances resolve themselves without awareness or sensation. Breathing continues its quiet cycle, each breath indistinguishable from the last. Gas exchange remains efficient. Blood chemistry stays within narrow, supportive ranges. These conditions reinforce stability, allowing the nervous system to remain disengaged from monitoring. Emotionally, this wordless rest offers profound relief. Without thought, there is no evaluation. Without evaluation, there is no conflict. The nervous system remains free from the push and pull of preference and aversion. This neutrality supports recovery at a level deeper than comfort. It supports peace without content. From the perspective of healing, this stage represents maximal allowance. Nothing interferes. Nothing accelerates. processes proceed exactly as they are designed to. The body absorbs calm simply by remaining here, undisturbed. If awareness flickers briefly, it finds nothing to attach to. There is no story, no direction. The flicker fades naturally, leaving rest uninterrupted. This absence of engagement is not fragile. It is stable, self-reinforcing. As the night continues, this wordless rest holds. The body remains supported by rhythms that do not require understanding. And within this deep, undefined quiet, restoration completes itself in the only way it can, slowly, gently, and without needing to be known. In the deepest stretches of sleep, the night itself functions like a holding environment. Nothing presses in, nothing pulls away. The body is contained within a stable field of conditions that support rest without demand. This containment is not physical in the ordinary sense. It is created by consistency of temperature, rhythm, chemistry, and signal. When consistency is present, the body relaxes its need to guard. At this level, the nervous system maintains only the most essential monitoring. There is no scanning for novelty, no evaluation of threat. The brainstem sustains breathing and heart rate with minimal variation. These steady signals tell every system the same simple message: remain at ease. When messages agree, effort dissolves. The holding environment of night supports tissues in subtle ways. Pressure points soften as circulation remains even. Micro movements in joints and fascia complete their adjustments. The absence of sudden shifts allows connective tissue to maintain elasticity without strain. This is why stillness during deep sleep is restorative rather than stiffening. The body is not frozen. It is supported. Within this support, the endocrine system continues its precise timing. Hormonal pulses arrive when receptors are most responsive. Feedback loops remain sensitive, correcting small deviations before they escalate. This quiet precision preserves balance across days and weeks, not just hours. The benefits accumulate invisibly, shaping long-term resilience. The brain's internal housekeeping remains active. Waste products continue to clear. Synapses maintain appropriate strength, and networks remain synchronized. None of this requires attention. In fact, attention would disrupt it. The night holds these processes by removing the need for choice. Emotionally, this holding environment offers a rare experience, being contained without being constrained. There is no expectation to feel better, no instruction to relax. The absence of demand itself is what allows the nervous system to settle fully. Over time, this experience teaches the body that safety can exist without vigilance. As you remain here, the sense of being held may not register consciously. It is felt later as ease, as the absence of unexplained tension, as a subtle readiness to meet the day. The night does not provide reassurance through words. It provides it through consistency. In this held state, the body absorbs calm simply by staying within the field of night. Nothing is added. Nothing is removed. Balance is maintained through presence rather than action. And as the hours continue to pass, without being counted, this containment remains steady, allowing restoration to deepen and complete itself. Even while sleep remains deep, the body begins a gradual preparation for return. This preparation is not a shift toward wakefulness. It is a subtle readiness that does not disturb rest. The night continues to hold the body, but internal systems quietly ensure that balance can be maintained as conditions change later. This preparation begins with timing. Circadian signals remain active in the background, tracking the progression of night without engaging consciousness. Hormonal rhythms adjust gently, ensuring that transitions, when they come, will be smooth rather than abrupt. The body does not rehearse waking. It simply maintains flexibility. Neural systems reflect this balance between rest and readiness. While slow-wave activity continues, pathways involved in coordination and responsiveness remain intact. This ensures that, when sleep lightens naturally, the brain can shift states without disorientation. The transition is planned, not forced. Physiologically, energy stores remain stable. Blood glucose regulation continues quietly. Electrolyte balance is preserved. These measures prevent the stress responses that can accompany sudden changes. By maintaining internal order, the body protects the depth of rest. Emotionally, this phase supports continuity. Because emotional processing has already been softened earlier in the night, there is no need for further adjustment. Feelings remain neutral, unactivated. This neutrality ensures that rest is not interrupted by emotional surges or unresolved tension. Awareness remains minimal. There is no anticipation of morning, no sense of approaching time. Preparation occurs without awareness, because awareness would introduce urgency. The body knows how to prepare without waking the mind. This gentle readiness is one of the most refined aspects of sleep. It allows restoration to remain complete while ensuring adaptability. The body does not cling to rest, nor does it rush toward activity. It remains poised. As you continue resting, this balance holds. The night maintains its quiet structure. The body remains supported, aligned, and calm. And without signaling any change, it ensures that when rest eventually lightens, it will do so gently, carrying forward the calm that has been absorbed throughout the night. There is a portion of the night where nothing new seems to happen, and yet everything important continues. This is the long plateau of deep rest. It is not marked by transitions or highlights. It does not announce itself. It simply holds steady, allowing the body to remain within the most restorative conditions for as long as possible. On this plateau, neural activity remains slow and uniform. The brain does not search for novelty, and it does not rehearse the day. Instead, it maintains a stable internal landscape where signals repeat predictably. This repetition is not redundant. It reinforces calm. Each slow oscillation confirms the last, telling the nervous system that nothing requires adjustment. The absence of change is meaningful. Biological systems heal best when they are not repeatedly interrupted. During this extended stillness, processes that require time, such as tissue regeneration, immune recalibration, and synaptic maintenance, can complete their cycles without being reset. This is why uninterrupted sleep feels different from fragmented sleep, even if total hours are similar. Continuity allows completion. The cardiovascular system benefits deeply from this plateau. With heart rate and blood pressure remaining low and consistent, vascular walls experience minimal strain. This supports elasticity and long-term cardiovascular health. Blood continues to deliver nutrients evenly, without urgency or fluctuation. The heart does not push, it sustains. Breathing remains steady and shallow, yet fully effective. Each breath blends into the next, indistinguishable in rhythm and depth. This respiratory stability supports balanced blood gases, reinforcing calm neural signaling. The body does not need to correct or compensate. Everything is already within range. At the cellular level, this plateau allows repair signals to remain active long enough to matter. Short bursts of rest can initiate repair, but sustained rest allows it to finish. Proteins are synthesized, membranes stabilized, and energy systems recalibrated without interruption. These processes are quiet, but they shape how the body will function long after sleep ends. Emotionally, the long plateau offers profound relief from stimulation. Without change, there is nothing to react to. The nervous system remains in a state of acceptance rather than response. Over time, this trains emotional circuits to tolerate stillness without discomfort. Calm becomes familiar rather than foreign. Awareness during this phase is nearly non-existent. There is no sense of waiting, no boredom, no engagement. If consciousness brushes the surface at all, it finds nothing to grasp. This lack of content is not empty. It is saturated with stability. As the night continues along this plateau, restoration deepens not through action, but through duration. The body remains held within conditions that support healing simply by remaining unchanged. And in this sustained stillness, the quiet work of the night continues, uninterrupted and complete. As the long hours of deep rest continue, stillness ceases to feel like a condition and becomes the body's natural state. There is no contrast between movement and rest, because movement has fully receded. The body does not resist stillness. It inhabits it. In this state, regulation feels effortless, because regulation is no longer perceived as an activity. Systems maintain balance automatically, without correction or oversight. Neural thresholds remain stable. Hormonal rhythms stay within supportive ranges. There is nothing to fix because nothing has drifted out of place. This natural stillness supports profound nervous system learning. The body learns that calm is sustainable. It learns that nothing collapses when vigilance is released. This learning is stored not as memory, but as baseline tone. Later, in waking life, the nervous system will remember this stillness as an available state, even in moments of challenge. The musculoskeletal system reflects this deep rest. Without habitual tension, alignment improves naturally. Muscles remain lengthened and soft. Joints rest in positions of minimal strain. This passive realignment supports comfort and mobility over time, reducing the accumulation of stress that often goes unnoticed. Internally, organs continue their essential functions with minimal variation. The liver processes metabolites steadily. The kidneys regulate fluid balance with precision. The digestive system remains quiet but responsive. Each organ operates within a shared rhythm, free from the pressure of external demand. Emotionally, stillness allows feelings to remain unactivated. There is no need to suppress or manage them. Without stimulation, emotional systems remain neutral. This neutrality is not numbness. It is balance. From this balance, genuine feeling can later arise without distortion. The brain remains content within slow rhythms. There is no push toward dreaming, no pull toward waking. Awareness is absent, not because it is blocked, but because it is unnecessary. The body does not require observation to function well. It thrives when allowed to continue uninterrupted. As you remain within this natural stillness, the night continues to support you without commentary. There is no signal that anything special is happening, because nothing needs to happen. Restoration does not require milestones. It requires time, stability, and the absence of interference. In this quiet, unremarkable depth, the body completes some of its most important work, and it does so not by striving, but by remaining exactly as it is, still, supported, and at rest within the steady rhythm of the night. As deep sleep continues without interruption, the body settles into a profound sense of continuity. Nothing marks the passage of time, yet everything moves forward exactly as it should. This continuity is not something the mind tracks. It is something the body inhabits. In this state, there is no beginning and no end, only a steady unfolding that requires no awareness. Biologically, continuity means that regulatory systems remain engaged without fluctuation. Neural activity stays slow and consistent, allowing communication pathways to remain open without urgency. There are no sudden shifts in signal that would require adjustment. This steadiness supports efficiency. When systems do not have to adapt to change, they can devote resources to preservation and renewal. The endocrine system benefits especially from this continuity. Hormonal rhythms remain smooth, avoiding sharp peaks or drops. This stability protects receptor sensitivity and supports long-term balance. Over time, such nights contribute to metabolic resilience, emotional steadiness, and immune reliability. The effects are gradual, cumulative, and deeply protective. Circulation continues its gentle work. Blood moves steadily through capillary networks, delivering oxygen and nutrients evenly. There is no rush, no redistribution in response to stress. This consistency supports tissue integrity, allowing cells to function within optimal conditions for extended periods. It also reduces wear on the cardiovascular system, reinforcing durability rather than strain. At the cellular level, continuity allows processes that depend on timing to complete fully. Repair enzymes remain active long enough to correct damage. Membranes stabilize. Energy systems recalibrate without interruption. These processes are not dramatic. They are effective precisely because they are unbroken. Emotionally, this state of continuity offers quiet reassurance. The nervous system learns that stability can persist without effort. This learning shapes baseline responses, making it easier to remain calm when stimulation returns. The body remembers that it has been here before, safe, supported, uninterrupted. Awareness, if present at all, is indistinct. There is no sense of being asleep or being aware. Experience lacks contrast. This lack of contrast is what allows continuity to feel natural rather than imposed. The body does not notice that nothing is changing, and therefore does not resist it. From a healing perspective, continuity is essential. Fragmented rest initiates repair, but rarely allows it to finish. Sustained rest completes cycles. It ensures that the calm absorbed earlier in the night is integrated fully rather than dissipating. The body does not need to hurry. It has time. As the night holds steady, this assurance of continuity remains intact. Nothing interrupts the flow. Nothing demands attention. The body rests within its own rhythms, confident that stability will continue. And within this confidence, the quiet work of healing deepens. reinforcing the calm that will gently accompany you into the later stages of the night. Eventually, deep sleep reaches a point where even continuity fades from relevance. The body rests beyond awareness, beyond monitoring, beyond any sense of process. Healing does not accelerate here, it completes. This completion is not marked by sensation or insight. It is simply the natural conclusion of sustained stability. In this depth, neural activity remains minimal and uniform. There are no surges, no transitions. The brain maintains its slow rhythms without variation, indicating maximal disengagement from the external world. Sensory processing is nearly absent. The brain does not need to filter input because there is nothing to filter. Physiological systems remain in balance without correction. Temperature regulation is stable. Blood chemistry remains within narrow, supportive ranges. Organ systems continue essential functions without deviation. This constancy signals that regulation has reached equilibrium. Nothing needs to be adjusted. At the cellular level, repair processes wind down naturally as their tasks are completed. There is no abrupt stopping. Activity tapers as balance is restored. Cells shift from active repair back into maintenance mode, preserving the gains made earlier in the night. This transition is seamless, unnoticed, and efficient. Emotionally, this stage represents total neutrality. There is no emotional content to process, no charge to soften. The nervous system rests without context. This neutrality supports long-term resilience by providing a reference point of complete calm. Later, when stimulation returns, the body will remember this state as a baseline, even if only implicitly. The sense of self is entirely absent. There is no observer to note the absence. Identity, narrative, and evaluation have all receded. What remains is pure rest, unsupported by thought, unclaimed by awareness. This is not emptiness. It is fullness without form. This is where the idea of healing becomes almost irrelevant. Healing implies movement from one state to another. Here, the body simply is. Balance has been restored. Systems are aligned. There is nothing left to resolve. As the night continues, this deep, formless rest holds without effort. The body remains supported by rhythms that require no attention. And in this final depth, restoration settles fully, preparing the ground for the gentle transitions that will eventually lead toward lighter sleep, and much later toward waking, carrying with it the calm absorbed throughout the night. As the deepest stillness begins to loosen, almost imperceptibly, the body enters a phase of gentle rebalancing. Nothing shifts suddenly. There is no clear boundary between depths of sleep. Instead, subtle adjustments begin, guided by internal timing rather than awareness. The night has not ended, but it begins to change its tone, like light slowly shifting behind closed eyes. Neural activity remains slow, yet faint variations appear within the rhythm. These variations are not disturbances. They are signs of flexibility returning. The brain maintains its deep rest while ensuring that networks remain responsive enough to adapt later. This balance protects against abrupt transitions, allowing restoration to remain intact while readiness quietly grows. The autonomic nervous system reflects this subtle shift. Parasympathetic dominance continues, keeping the body calm, but sympathetic activity is no longer completely absent. It remains dormant, poised rather than active. This poised state ensures that when sleep lightens naturally, The body will not need to surge or compensate. Balance will carry forward smoothly. Hormonal signaling adjusts with similar care. Melatonin remains present, sustaining sleep, while other circadian signals begin aligning for the later phases of the night. This coordination happens gradually, ensuring that metabolic and emotional systems remain stable. There is no rush. Timing remains precise and patient. Physically, the body remains deeply relaxed. Muscles do not tense. Breathing stays slow and regular. Yet micro-adjustments continue beneath awareness. Circulation adapts gently, supporting tissues as they complete repair and shift back into maintenance. These adjustments prevent stagnation while preserving rest. Emotionally, neutrality persists. There is no reactivation of personal narrative or concern. The nervous system holds the memory of safety established earlier in the night. This memory does not present itself as thought. It exists as tone, shaping how the body remains at ease even as conditions evolve. This phase is often unnoticed, yet it is essential. Without it, waking would feel abrupt or disorienting. The body uses this time to ensure continuity between deep rest and lighter sleep. It does not pull you toward awareness. It prepares silently, respecting the depth that has already been reached. If awareness briefly brushes the surface here, it encounters softness rather than content. There may be fleeting impressions without meaning or direction. These impressions dissolve quickly, leaving rest uninterrupted. The mind is not invited back yet. It remains peripheral. From a healing perspective, this rebalancing preserves the gains of the night. It ensures that calm absorbed earlier is not lost during transition. Regulation remains stable. Energy is conserved. Systems remain aligned. As the night slowly turns, this gentle rebalancing continues, unseen and unfelt. The body remains supported by rhythms refined over countless nights. And within this careful adjustment, rest stays deep, steady, and complete, allowing the final hours of sleep to unfold with the same quiet intelligence that guided the beginning. Now, the body rests in a space that is neither the deepest stillness nor the lightness of approaching wakefulness. It floats between depth and ease, supported by rhythms that remain calm but slightly more flexible. This space is not transitional in a dramatic sense. It is expansive, unhurried, and gentle. Brainwaves remain slow, yet they allow occasional variation. These variations do not bring thought or imagery into focus. They simply signal adaptability. The brain retains its capacity for deep rest while ensuring that pathways remain responsive. This balance supports emotional stability and cognitive clarity later, without disturbing sleep now. Breathing continues its steady pattern, though it may deepen slightly or change pace without intention. Each breath remains effortless, guided by internal chemistry rather than awareness. This subtle responsiveness supports oxygen delivery and maintains equilibrium without introducing alertness. The cardiovascular system mirrors this floating state. Heart rhythms remain calm and variable, reflecting resilience rather than rigidity. Blood pressure stays low and stable. Circulation continues to nourish tissues evenly, supporting maintenance as repair concludes. Nothing accelerates, nothing withdraws. Emotionally, this phase feels open rather than neutral. There is no charge, but there is softness. If feelings exist at all, they are diffuse and unclaimed. The nervous system does not categorize or evaluate. It simply allows experience to remain vague and nonspecific. This openness prevents abrupt emotional activation when waking eventually approaches. Muscles remain relaxed, yet readiness returns at a cellular level. Energy systems replenish quietly. Glycogen stores stabilize. Electrolyte balance remains precise. These processes ensure that when movement returns later, it will feel supported rather than strained. Awareness during this phase is rare and fleeting. If it appears, it finds no story to attach to. There is no sense of time passing, no anticipation. Awareness dissolves quickly, absorbed back into the rhythm of rest. This absorption maintains continuity. This floating state is one of the most restorative aspects of sleep. It allows the body to integrate the night's work without pressure. Repair settles into maintenance. Calm becomes embedded. Systems adjust gently rather than reactively. From the perspective of absorbing positive energy, this is where calm becomes portable. The body does not simply experience rest, it incorporates it. The tone established earlier in the night is now woven into baseline regulation, ready to accompany you into lighter sleep and, much later, into waking life. As you continue resting here, nothing needs to change. The night remains spacious and supportive. The body floats easily within its rhythms, held between depth and ease, allowing restoration to remain whole as sleep continues its quiet, unmeasured course. As the night continues its slow progression, the body allows a faint return of sensation without inviting wakefulness. This return is extremely gentle, more like a soft awareness of existence than any specific feeling. The nervous system remains calm, yet receptive, maintaining the depth of rest while quietly reintroducing responsiveness. Neural activity reflects this balance. Slow waves continue to dominate, but lighter oscillations begin to appear at the edges of the rhythm. These oscillations do not organize into thought or imagery. They simply allow the brain to remain flexible. Flexibility at this stage is protective. It ensures that the transition toward lighter sleep, when it eventually comes, will not feel abrupt or jarring. The body senses itself in a non-specific way. There may be a faint awareness of warmth, weight, or gentle contact with the surface beneath you. These sensations do not demand attention. They are not evaluated or interpreted. They exist as background information, reminding the nervous system of physical presence without pulling it toward action. Breathing remains slow and unforced, yet it may deepen slightly, responding to subtle changes in blood chemistry. Each breath continues to signal safety and stability. The rhythm remains predictable, reinforcing parasympathetic dominance and keeping stress responses quiet. The heart maintains a calm, adaptable rhythm. Variability remains present, indicating resilience. Blood flow continues evenly, supporting tissues that have completed repair and are now maintaining balance. There is no urgency in circulation, only continuity. Emotionally, this phase is characterized by softness rather than neutrality. Feelings are not active, but the nervous system remains open rather than closed. This openness allows calm to be integrated more deeply. It becomes part of the body's expected state rather than a temporary condition. At the cellular level, energy systems stabilize further. Mitochondria adjust output to match minimal demand, preserving efficiency. Electrolyte gradients remain precise, supporting neural and muscular readiness without activation. These adjustments ensure that future movement and thought will feel supported rather than effortful. Awareness, if it briefly appears, finds nothing to engage with. There is no narrative, no intention. The moment passes quickly, and awareness dissolves back into rest. This dissolution is natural and unforced, reinforcing the body's preference for sleep. From a healing perspective, this phase secures the night's progress. It ensures that restoration remains intact even as flexibility returns. The calm absorbed earlier does not dissipate. It becomes stable, ready to persist beyond sleep. As the night holds you here, sensation remains soft and indistinct. The body continues to rest deeply, supported by rhythms that allow presence without wakefulness. And within this gentle responsiveness, sleep continues to unfold, steady and unbroken. In this stage of the night, calm is no longer something the body experiences. It is something the body assumes. Calm becomes the default tone, the background state against which future activity will occur. This shift is subtle, but it is one of the most lasting effects of deep, uninterrupted sleep. Neuroscientifically, this reflects a recalibration of baseline neural excitability. Stress-related circuits have remained quiet long enough to reduce their sensitivity. Regulatory networks have synchronized repeatedly, reinforcing patterns of balance. As a result, the brain no longer expects disruption. This expectation shapes how it will respond to stimulation later, making calm more accessible. The autonomic nervous system reflects this change clearly. Parasympathetic influence remains strong, but the system is no longer defined by dominance or suppression. Instead, it exhibits flexibility. Calm is present, yet responsiveness is preserved. This balance supports resilience, allowing the body to adapt without overreacting. Hormonal systems mirror this default calm. Cortisol rhythms remain low and well-timed. Other signaling molecules operate within narrow, supportive ranges. Receptors remain sensitive, ensuring that signals will be interpreted accurately when conditions change. This precision prevents exaggerated responses and supports emotional steadiness. Physically, the body feels settled, even though awareness may not register it. Muscle tone remains minimal but ready. Joints are supported by balanced circulation. Connective tissue remains hydrated and responsive. This physical readiness without tension is a hallmark of healthy rest. Emotionally, calm as a default tone means that feelings are no longer braced against imagined threat. The nervous system does not anticipate conflict. This absence of anticipation allows genuine emotion to arise later without being distorted by fatigue or residual stress. The brain remains in a slow, coherent rhythm. Light variations continue, but they do not disrupt rest. Dreams, if they occur, are soft and non-intrusive, blending into the background rather than capturing attention. Often, there is no recall at all because experience remains unstructured. This stage is where the benefits of absorbing calm become durable. Calm is no longer dependent on conditions being perfect. It has been practiced, reinforced, and stabilized throughout the night. The body now recognizes it as familiar. As you continue resting, this default calm remains intact. Nothing challenges it. Nothing amplifies it. It simply persists, supporting the final stages of sleep with the same quiet intelligence that guided the deepest hours. the night continues to hold you gently, allowing this calm to settle fully into your system, ready to accompany you beyond sleep, without effort and without demand. As the night moves quietly onward, the body begins to store the experience of rest itself. This is not memory in the way the mind remembers images or events. It is a deeper physiological memory, a record held in tone, rhythm, and expectation. The body remembers how it feels to be at ease, and this remembering subtly reshapes its future responses. Neural circuits that govern stress and relaxation have now spent many hours in a low activation state. Repetition matters here. Each cycle of calm reinforces pathways associated with regulation rather than alarm. Over time, these pathways become easier to access. The brain learns that safety is not an exception. It is a state that can be returned to naturally. This learning does not require awareness. In fact, it depends on the absence of awareness. When the mind is not interfering, the nervous system updates itself quietly. Baseline thresholds shift. Signals that once triggered vigilance now pass without consequence. This recalibration is one of the most profound healing effects of deep sleep, even though it is rarely noticed directly. The body reflects this memory through posture and movement readiness. Muscles remain relaxed, yet coordinated. There is no bracing, no guarding. Joints rest in positions of minimal strain. Connective tissue adapts to the sustained ease, maintaining elasticity without tension. These physical adjustments influence how the body will move later, making motion feel smoother and less effortful. Internally, organs also store this memory. The heart becomes accustomed to steady rhythms. The digestive system recognizes periods of uninterrupted parasympathetic dominance. The immune system recalibrates its sense of urgency. Each system learns, in its own way, that it can function effectively without constant activation. Emotionally, the memory of rest softens the edges of future experience. The nervous system no longer expects strain as a default. This expectation changes how emotions are felt. Reactions slow slightly. Space opens between stimulus and response. This space is where choice and resilience live, even if they are never consciously named. Awareness remains minimal as this memory settles. There is no moment of recognition, no feeling of accomplishment. The process is quiet by design. If it were obvious, it would disturb the conditions that allow it to take root. The body integrates rest best when rest is uninterrupted. As you continue sleeping, this memory becomes more stable. It is reinforced not by novelty, but by consistency. Each steady breath, each slow heartbeat confirms the same message. This state is safe. This state is sustainable. From the perspective of healing, this is where the night leaves its most lasting imprint. The calm absorbed earlier is no longer transient. It has become familiar. And as sleep continues, this familiarity deepens, preparing the body to carry rest forward into lighter sleep, into waking, and into the quiet moments that follow. Now, the night begins to change its texture once more, almost imperceptibly. Sleep remains deep, yet its density softens. This softening does not disturb the calm that has been established. Instead, it allows the body to move toward lighter stages of sleep while preserving the tone of ease that has settled so thoroughly. Brain activity reflects this shift with grace. Slow waves continue, but they are joined by slightly faster rhythms that drift in and out without organizing into thought. These rhythms signal readiness without alertness. The brain is not waking. It is becoming adaptable again, ensuring that transitions, when they occur, will be smooth. Breathing remains calm, though it may vary subtly in depth or timing. These variations are not signs of disturbance. They are signs of responsiveness returning. The body remains relaxed, yet capable. Each breath continues to signal safety, reinforcing parasympathetic stability, even as flexibility increases. The cardiovascular system mirrors this balance. Heart rhythms remain steady and variable, reflecting resilience rather than rigidity. Blood pressure stays low. Circulation adapts gently, supporting tissues as they shift fully from repair into maintenance. There is no rush to prepare for activity. Readiness unfolds naturally. Emotionally, the calm established earlier holds firm. There is no resurgence of narrative or concern. The nervous system does not re-engage old patterns simply because sleep lightens. Instead, it carries forward the neutrality and softness learned during deeper stages. This continuity is what allows waking to feel gentle later, rather than abrupt. The body's sense of position and presence may become slightly clearer, though still indistinct. There might be a vague awareness of space, weight, or warmth. These sensations remain background information. They do not draw the mind back. Awareness touches them lightly and then recedes again. At the cellular level, systems remain balanced. Energy production matches low demand. Electrolytes stay within precise ranges. Repair has largely completed, and maintenance continues smoothly. Nothing is lost as sleep lightens. The work of the night is preserved. From a healing perspective, this stage is about continuity. It ensures that the benefits of deep sleep are not disrupted by transition. Calm remains embedded. Regulation remains stable. The body does not switch modes abruptly. It glides. As you continue to rest, drifting within this lighter depth, nothing needs to be managed. Sleep continues to support you, adapting gently while holding on to everything it has already given. And within this gradual shift, the night remains kind, steady, and quietly complete. As sleep lightens just a little more, the calm established through the night does not fade. It carries over like a gentle undercurrent that continues to move even as the surface begins to change. This carryover is subtle and protective. It ensures that awareness, when it eventually returns, will rise from stability rather than disruption. Neural activity now shows greater variation, yet it remains coordinated. Slow rhythms still anchor the brain, while lighter patterns drift across them without forming sharp edges. This layered activity allows the brain to remain at rest while preserving readiness. There is no urgency in this readiness. It exists quietly, like a door that is unlocked but not yet opened. Breathing remains easy and unforced. The body responds to small shifts in chemistry with effortless adjustments, keeping oxygen and carbon dioxide in balance. Each breath continues to signal safety. This signaling is important. It tells the nervous system that change does not require alarm. Adaptation can happen within calm. The cardiovascular system supports this transition with resilience. Heart rhythms remain variable and smooth, reflecting flexibility rather than tension. Blood pressure stays low, and circulation adapts gently to changing needs. There is no surge of energy, no preparatory tension. The body remains grounded in rest, even as it becomes more responsive. Emotionally, the calm that has settled throughout the night remains intact. There is no sudden return of personal narrative or concern. Emotional systems remain quiet, not suppressed, but unprovoked. This quiet allows future feelings to arise without being shaped by fatigue or residual stress. Sensation becomes slightly clearer, though still soft. There may be a faint awareness of the body's outline, the surface beneath you, or the warmth of the air. These sensations do not demand attention. They exist as background context, reminding the nervous system of presence without pulling it into action. At a deeper level, the memory of rest continues to integrate. Neural pathways that support regulation have been reinforced repeatedly. This reinforcement does not disappear as sleep lightens. It persists, shaping how the brain will interpret stimuli later. Calm remains the reference point. This stage is important because it prevents fragmentation. Without it, transitions from deep sleep to lighter sleep could feel abrupt or disorienting. Instead, the body glides, maintaining continuity. Regulation remains smooth. Nothing is lost. If awareness briefly appears, it does so gently. There is no thought, no planning, no evaluation. Awareness touches the moment and then recedes again, satisfied. This ease reinforces the nervous system's trust in transition. From a healing perspective, this carryover ensures durability. Calm is not confined to deep sleep. It becomes portable, ready to move with you through changing states. The body does not have to rebuild regulation each time it shifts. It brings it along. As you continue resting within this lighter depth, sleep remains supportive. The night continues its quiet guidance, ensuring that every change unfolds within the same steady field of safety. And within that field, rest remains complete, calm remains present, and the body remains at ease. At this point in the night, awareness begins to stir in its most gentle form. It does not arrive as a thought or a decision. It appears as a faint clarity, like light diffusing through closed eyelids. The body remains deeply relaxed, and the calm of sleep is not disturbed. Awareness simply coexists with rest. The brain supports this coexistence by maintaining layered rhythms. Slower waves continue to provide stability, while lighter patterns allow perception to return softly. There is no sharp boundary between sleeping and waking. The brain does not flip a switch. It blends states, ensuring continuity. Breathing remains calm and responsive. Each breath flows easily, adjusting without effort. The nervous system interprets these steady rhythms as reassurance. Even as awareness grows, safety remains the dominant signal. This prevents the stress responses that can accompany abrupt waking. The body remains comfortable and still. Muscle tone stays low. Joints relaxed, connective tissue supported. There is no impulse to move yet. Readiness exists at a cellular level, but it does not demand expression. The body remains content within stillness. Emotionally, there is openness without engagement. Feelings are not active, but the capacity for feeling returns gently. The nervous system does not brace itself. It remains neutral and receptive, allowing future emotions to arise naturally rather than defensively. Sensation becomes clearer now, though still soft. You may notice weight, warmth, or the subtle rhythm of breathing. These sensations do not require response. They simply exist, marking the gradual return of perception. Awareness does not cling to them. it passes through lightly. Importantly, the calm established earlier remains untouched. Awareness does not undo rest, it inherits it. The body carries forward the tone of the night, ensuring that consciousness returns from a place of regulation rather than urgency. At the neural level, this gentle reawakening supports clarity. Because the brain has been thoroughly rested, cognitive systems are not rushed or overloaded. They are prepared. When thought eventually returns, it will do so from balance rather than depletion. This phase often goes unnoticed because it lacks drama. There is no moment of waking. There is simply a gradual presence. This is intentional. The body prefers transitions that do not call attention to themselves. Smoothness preserves regulation. From a healing perspective, this soft return of awareness completes the cycle of sleep. It ensures that the work of the night is not disrupted at the threshold of waking. Calm remains intact, balance remains present. As you continue resting here, awareness may fade again, or it may gently persist. Either way, nothing needs to be done. Sleep continues to support you, guiding awareness and rest together, allowing the final chapters of the night to unfold with the same quiet intelligence that shaped its beginning. As the night nears its later hours, you may find yourself hovering at the edge of sleep without fully leaving it. This edge is not sharp. It is wide, gentle, and forgiving. The body remains deeply relaxed, and the calm cultivated through the night continues to hold everything in place. Nothing urges you forward. Nothing pulls you back. Neural activity now reflects this in-between state. The brain allows moments of light organization to appear, soft patterns that hint at awareness, while maintaining the slower rhythms that anchor rest. These patterns do not demand interpretation. They arise and fade on their own, like ripples that never become waves. The brain remains free from urgency. Breathing continues to feel natural and unforced. You are not directing it, yet you may sense it more clearly. Each inhale and exhale still communicates safety, reinforcing the nervous system's preference for ease. Even as awareness brushes closer, the body does not tense. It trusts the continuity established earlier. The cardiovascular system supports this hovering state with stability. Heart rhythms remain smooth and adaptive. There is no spike in activity, no preparation for action. Circulation remains calm and even, ensuring that tissues stay supported as repair gives way fully to maintenance. The night does not rush the body toward movement. Emotionally, this phase feels open and quiet. There is no emotional content demanding attention. Feelings remain unactivated, resting in the background. The nervous system does not anticipate challenges or replay concerns. It remains anchored in the memory of safety that deep sleep has reinforced repeatedly. Sensation becomes clearer, though still gentle. You might notice the contact between your body and the surface beneath you, or the temperature of the air. These sensations do not signal wakefulness. They simply remind the body of presence. Awareness acknowledges them lightly, without grasping. This hovering state is important because it protects the calm of the night. Abrupt waking can fragment regulation, pulling the nervous system back into alertness too quickly. Hovering allows the body to remain regulated even as awareness returns. Calm is not replaced by alertness. It coexists with it. At the cellular level, systems remain balanced. Energy production stays efficient, Electrolytes remain precise. Nothing prepares for exertion yet. The body remains content to rest, even with awareness nearby. This preserves the benefits of sleep rather than dissipating them. If thoughts begin to form, they are slow and incomplete. They do not carry urgency or emotional charge. Often, they dissolve before becoming language. This is a sign that the brain is still prioritizing regulation over cognition. Thinking is possible, but not required. From a healing perspective, this hovering phase ensures integration. The calm, absorbed throughout the night, is not confined to unconsciousness. It becomes available to awareness without being disrupted. The nervous system learns that it can be awake without being tense. As you remain here, hovering gently at the edge of sleep, there is nothing to decide. You do not need to wake. You do not need to drift deeper. The body is comfortable exactly where it is, held by the same steady rhythms that have guided the night from the beginning. Eventually, waking begins not as an event, but as a gradual unfolding. The body does not abandon rest to become awake. It carries rest with it. This is the quiet gift of a night spent in deep, uninterrupted calm. The ability to rise without rupture. Neural activity continues its gentle shift. Lighter rhythms become more consistent, yet they remain coordinated with slower waves. The brain does not leap into problem solving or planning. It allows awareness to expand slowly, preserving the stability built during sleep. This layered activity supports clarity without strain. Breathing remains easy and responsive. You may notice it more clearly now, yet it still moves without effort. Each breath continues to reinforce safety, signaling that awareness does not require defense. The nervous system remains grounded, even as consciousness becomes more present. The body begins to sense readiness at a subtle level. Muscles remain relaxed, but coordination quietly returns. Joints feel supported rather than stiff. Circulation adapts smoothly, preparing tissues for eventual movement without urgency. This readiness is calm, not activating. Emotionally, waking from this place feels neutral and spacious. There is no rush of feeling, no immediate concern. The nervous system does not brace itself for the day. It remains open, carrying forward the tone of ease established overnight. Emotions, when they arise later, will do so from balance rather than depletion. Sensation becomes clearer and more defined. You may notice light, sound, or the contours of your body more distinctly. These sensations are received without resistance. The body does not tense in response. It remains receptive, allowing awareness to widen naturally. Importantly, the memory of rest remains intact. The nervous system does not discard it as sleep ends. It carries it forward as a reference point. This reference shapes how stimulation will be interpreted, making it easier to remain calm even as activity resumes. At the physiological level, this gentle waking supports resilience. Stress systems remain quiet. Hormonal rhythms stay balanced. Energy is available without being forced. The body does not need to recover from waking because waking has not been abrupt. From a healing perspective, this is where the night's work becomes visible, not through sensation, but through absence. The absence of tension, the absence of urgency, the absence of mental noise. These absences reflect successful regulation more clearly than any feeling of effort. As waking continues in its own time, nothing needs to be done immediately. The body is not behind. It is ready. Calm is not something you must recreate. It is already present, carried forward from the night. And even as awareness becomes fully clear, the deeper rhythms remain beneath it, steady and supportive, quiet reminders that rest does not disappear when sleep ends, but continues to live within the body, shaping each moment gently, without demand. As waking becomes more established, the body does something remarkable without asking for attention. It carries the regulation of the night directly into the earliest moments of the day. There is no reset, no sharp divide. Sleep does not end and give way to something else. Instead, its influence continues, quietly shaping how the body meets what comes next. Neural systems that spent hours in slow, coordinated rhythms do not abruptly abandon that organization. Even as faster brain activity becomes more consistent, the underlying coherence remains. This layered state allows thought to arise without agitation. Ideas can form, but they do not demand immediate action. The mind feels clear rather than crowded, responsive rather than pressured. Breathing remains steady as awareness fully returns. You may now notice the rhythm more clearly, but it has not changed its message. Each breath still communicates safety. This continuity is essential. It tells the nervous system that being awake does not require tension. Alertness can exist without urgency, presence without strain. The cardiovascular system continues to reflect resilience rather than effort. Heart rhythms remain adaptable, not rigid. Blood pressure rises gently to support waking circulation, but it does so smoothly, without spikes. This gradual adjustment protects the body from the stress responses often triggered by abrupt transitions. The day begins without alarm. Muscles remain relaxed, even as coordination becomes available. There is no immediate bracing against gravity. Posture emerges naturally from balance rather than effort. This ease reduces unnecessary tension and supports efficient movement later, whether the day becomes active or remains calm. Emotionally, the carryover of regulation is felt as space. Space before reaction, space before judgment. The nervous system does not rush to label experiences as good or bad. It remains receptive, allowing context to arrive before response. This space is one of the most valuable outcomes of deep, uninterrupted sleep. At a deeper level, the body's memory of rest continues to guide behavior. Stress systems remain quiet unless genuinely needed. Emotional circuits retain flexibility. Cognitive systems are not overloaded at the outset. This baseline supports choice rather than reflex, even in moments of challenge. Sensation now feels clear and grounded. The body senses its environment accurately, without exaggeration. Sounds are received without startle. Light is noticed without strain. Touch is felt without tension. This balanced sensory processing reflects a nervous system that trusts its capacity to respond. From a healing perspective, this is where sleep's effects extend beyond the night. Healing is not confined to unconsciousness. It shapes how the body enters the day. When waking is gentle, regulation persists. Calm does not need to be recreated. It is already present. As you remain in these first moments of wakefulness, nothing needs to be decided yet. The body is oriented, supported, and ready without being pushed. The rhythms of the night continue beneath awareness, steady, and reliable. And within this continuity, the benefits of sleep move with you, quietly supporting whatever the day may hold. By now, calm is no longer something to seek. It has become a companion, present, subtle, and dependable. It does not demand attention, and it does not disappear when attention shifts. This is the quiet outcome of a night spent in deep regulation. Calm becomes part of how the body exists, not something it tries to achieve. The nervous system now operates from a baseline shaped by hours of safety and consistency. Signals that once triggered alertness now pass through without amplification. This does not dull perception. It refines it. The body remains sensitive, but not reactive. This distinction is crucial for resilience. Neural circuits supporting focus and awareness come online gradually, without competing with regulatory networks. The brain does not need to choose between calm and clarity. It supports both simultaneously. This integration allows attention to move freely without pulling the body into stress. Breathing continues to anchor this state. Even as movement or thought increases, the breath remains accessible and steady. It does not need to be controlled. It simply reflects balance. This steady respiration reinforces parasympathetic tone, reminding the body that activity does not require tension. The body carries itself with ease. Muscles engage only as needed. Joints move within comfortable ranges. There is no excess effort. This efficiency conserves energy and reduces wear, supporting endurance rather than exhaustion as the day unfolds. Emotionally, calm as a companion means that feelings are met rather than managed. When emotions arise, they do so against a stable background. The nervous system does not rush to suppress or amplify them. It allows them to pass through with context intact. This fluidity supports emotional intelligence without conscious effort. Cognitively, this state allows thinking to remain flexible. Problems can be approached without urgency. Decisions can be made without pressure. The mind feels spacious enough to consider options rather than react automatically. This spaciousness is not created in the moment. It is inherited from the night. From the perspective of healing, this is where sleep's influence becomes truly integrated. The body does not leave healing behind when the night ends. Healing continues as regulation, as balance, as ease within activity. The benefits are not dramatic. They are reliable. Calm, in this sense, is not fragile. It does not require perfect conditions. It has been practiced and reinforced through hours of rest. It remains present even as stimulation returns, because it is no longer dependent on stillness alone. As you move forward, whether into movement or continued rest, this calm stays with you quietly. It does not announce itself. It simply supports. And in this way, the night's work completes its final purpose, not by keeping you asleep, but by allowing you to be awake without losing the deep, steady ease that sleep has given you. As wakefulness becomes complete, the body does not rush to announce itself. Instead, it settles into the day with a quiet confidence shaped by deep rest. This confidence is not emotional or cognitive. It is physiological. It lives in the steadiness of breath, the smooth coordination of movement, and the absence of unnecessary tension. Neural systems now operate in full waking mode, yet they retain the imprint of nighttime regulation. Brain activity becomes faster and more complex, but it remains organized. Thought flows without crowding. Attention can focus without strain. The background coherence established during sleep continues to support clarity and emotional balance. Breathing adapts naturally to posture and movement, deepening or quickening as needed without becoming shallow or reactive. This responsiveness reflects a nervous system that trusts its capacity to adjust. There is no need to brace against the day. The body meets it as an extension of the same rhythm that carried it through the night. The cardiovascular system completes its gentle adjustment. Blood pressure rises to support upright posture and activity, but it does so smoothly. Heart rhythms remain adaptable, not rigid. This flexibility supports endurance and reduces fatigue, allowing energy to be used efficiently rather than defensively. Muscles engage with coordination rather than force. Movement feels supported from within, not driven by urgency. Even small actions reflect balance. This ease is not accidental. It is the cumulative effect of hours spent without tension, allowing the body to reset its expectations of effort. Emotionally, the nervous system maintains a sense of grounded neutrality. Emotions can arise, but they do not overwhelm. There is space to feel without being consumed. This emotional steadiness is not created through control. It is the natural result of regulation carried forward from sleep. At a deeper level, the body's internal systems continue to communicate clearly. Digestive rhythms resume smoothly. Metabolic processes adapt without spikes. Immune surveillance remains balanced. The body functions as a coordinated whole, not a collection of competing demands. From a healing perspective, this quiet confidence is the night's final gift. It reflects a body that trusts its ability to respond. Stress responses remain available, but they are no longer dominant. Calm has become the default reference point. As the day fully arrives, nothing about this confidence needs to be protected. It is not fragile. It has been reinforced through repetition and duration. It will fluctuate, as all states do, but it remains accessible. And even as attention turns outward, the deeper rhythms remain within you, steady and reliable. Silent evidence of a night spent restoring balance, preparing you to move through the day with ease rather than effort. Even as the body becomes active, rest does not vanish. It continues beneath movement and thought, like a stable foundation that does not need to be noticed to be effective. This continuation of rest is one of the most important outcomes of deep, uninterrupted sleep. Neural systems remain layered. Active networks handle perception, decision-making, and movement, while regulatory networks continue to maintain balance in the background. This layering prevents overload. It allows activity to occur without displacing calm. The brain does not need to choose between doing and resting. It can support both simultaneously. Breathing remains the clearest signal of this continuity. Even during activity, breath retains a sense of ease. It responds to demand without becoming strained. This supports efficient oxygen delivery and keeps stress signaling low. The body remains grounded even as it moves. The musculoskeletal system reflects this balance. Muscles engage and release smoothly. There is no chronic holding. Posture adapts without rigidity. This efficiency reduces fatigue and supports long-term comfort. Movement feels cooperative rather than effortful. Emotionally, rest beneath activity creates resilience. Challenges may appear, but they are met from a stable baseline. The nervous system does not escalate unnecessarily. Emotional responses remain proportional, shaped by context rather than reflex. This proportionality allows for clearer judgment and greater flexibility. At the physiological level, energy systems remain balanced. Glucose regulation adapts smoothly. Hormonal signals remain precise. The body does not overshoot or crash. This stability supports sustained engagement without depletion. From the perspective of healing, this is where the night's work shows its lasting value. Healing is not confined to stillness. It continues as regulation within motion. The body carries forward what it learned in rest, applying it quietly to waking life. Awareness may not register this continuity directly. It is felt later, as endurance, as emotional steadiness, as the absence of unexplained tension. These are the signatures of rest that persists beneath activity. As you move through the day, rest remains available, not as something to return to, but as something already present. It supports each moment without asking to be acknowledged. As time passes, the distinction between night and day becomes less absolute within the body. The two are integrated, each informing the other. Sleep shapes wakefulness, and wakefulness prepares the ground for future sleep. This integration is not conceptual. It is physiological, woven into rhythms that span the entire cycle. Neural systems retain the memory of deep rest, influencing how stimulation is processed. Signals are interpreted with context. Noise does not automatically become stress. Complexity does not automatically become threat. This interpretive flexibility is one of the most powerful protective effects of good sleep. The autonomic nervous system reflects this integration clearly. It shifts between states smoothly, without getting stuck. Activation and relaxation alternate naturally, supporting both engagement and recovery. This fluidity prevents chronic stress and supports long-term health. Emotionally, integration allows feeling without overwhelm. The body no longer reacts as if each moment were isolated. It carries a sense of continuity that softens extremes. Emotions move through rather than accumulating. This movement supports mental clarity and emotional resilience. Physically, integration appears as adaptability. The body responds to demand, then returns to ease without effort. Muscles engage and release. Breath deepens and slows. Circulation adjusts and stabilizes. Nothing remains locked in one mode. From a healing perspective, integration is completion. It means the benefits of sleep are not compartmentalized. They influence posture, breath, emotion, and thought throughout the day. Healing becomes ongoing rather than episodic. This integrated state does not eliminate challenge. It changes how challenge is met. The body responds with proportion, not urgency. It recovers without struggle. These qualities are learned during the night and expressed during the day. As the cycle continues, each night reinforces this integration, and each day provides context for the next rest. The system becomes self-supporting, guided by rhythm rather than force. Now, the cycle completes itself, not with an ending, but with a settling. Rest is no longer something you enter or leave. It becomes a lasting state within you, present beneath activity, beneath thought, beneath experience. It does not require silence or stillness to exist. This lasting rest is subtle. It shows itself in how quickly the body returns to calm. how easily breath deepens, how naturally tension releases. It is not something to hold on to. It remains because it has been reinforced, not because it is maintained. Neural systems continue to reflect this stability. Even when challenged, they retain the ability to reorganize. Emotional circuits recover more quickly. Cognitive systems remain flexible. These qualities are the living expression of the night's work. The body carries forward the intelligence of sleep, the knowledge of how to restore balance without effort. This knowledge operates continuously, responding to conditions as they arise. It does not wait for perfect circumstances. It adapts. From a healing perspective, this is the deepest outcome of restful sleep. Healing is no longer an event. It becomes a way the body exists. Regulation is not something to achieve. It is something to return to, again and again, with ease. As you move forward, rest remains with you quietly. You do not need to remember it. You do not need to recreate it. It is already present, woven into your rhythms. And when night comes again, your body will recognize it immediately. It will know how to let go, how to settle, how to heal, because it has practiced all of this, gently and completely, within the deep, quiet hours you have just passed. You are safe now, and you can drift on whenever you need, carried by the same calm that lives within you. You are safe now. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to remember. Just let the sound of these words soften and then fade. Your body already knows the way. Your breath is moving on its own. Your heartbeat is steady, quiet, unhurried. There is no story to follow anymore, no thought to finish, no place to arrive. Only this gentle drifting, this deep permission to rest. If the mind wanders, let it wander. If awareness fades, let it fade. Everything important is already taken care of. The night continues to hold you. The rhythm beneath you remains steady. Nothing will ask for your attention. Drift away. Drift away. You are safe now, and you can rest.